Hello, and thanks for tuning in today. My name is Nicole Todd Randall, and today I will be discussing the art and impact of storytelling for nonprofits. Just as a short background on myself, I am a communications professional in Washington, D.C., and a master's candidate in Georgetown University's Public Relations and Corporate Communications program. Today's webinar should last roughly 10 minutes. If you have any questions at the end, please feel free to contact me through the address you see on your screen. Storytelling is becoming one of the most effective ways to communicate a nonprofit's mission. Today, we will touch on several topics relating to storytelling for nonprofits. Throughout the webinar, we will answer the following questions. Why is compelling storytelling important? How can nonprofits motivate action with storytelling? What are the characteristics of compelling stories? And what is the process for developing your story? But first, I'll begin by telling a personal story on how my aunt, a savvy storyteller in her own right, compelled my entire family to register to become potential bone marrow donors. My aunt's mission was to persuade more African Americans to register for the National Marrow Donor Program. My aunt gave us the grim statistics for African Americans in need of a bone marrow transplant, that only 7% of the nation's 10 million registered potential bone marrow donors are African American, leaving patients with ethnically diverse backgrounds a 66% chance of finding a match through the donor program. But central to her petition was a personal story she told about a friend of hers who passed away because she was not able to find a match in time. After hearing about my aunt's friend, members of my family, even those deeply afraid of needles, filled out forms to join the bone marrow registry. As you see, facts alone do not inspire, particularly for those members of my family afraid of the painful process of donating bone marrow. They needed a bit more. And as marketing partners, a team of nonprofit professionals found, stories move people to change. People cannot face facts if there's a conflict with their mental frame or point of view. Here we see the main differences between facts and stories. We see that facts on their own do not inspire, and studies show that data and statistics are a surefire way of losing your audience. On the other hand, stories put a human touch to a cause or product and have the potential to persuade your audience to laugh, cry, or give money to a cause. Nonprofits are increasingly using stories to sway board members, investors, and policymakers. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the nation's fourth largest grant-making foundation by asset, began incorporating storytelling seminars into its programs in 2000. It made a workshop on storytelling the centerpiece of its annual meeting last fall. The Save the Children and American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals have mastered the art of putting a face to an issue and using storytelling to communicate their mission. We'll look more closely at these examples shortly. Francesca Bennett, an associate director at PR firm Fishburne Hedges, summed up the power of storytelling by stating, "Crucially, storytelling is useful not just when presenting to clients or new business prospects. It can be used to define and inspire an organization and help set its direction for the future. It can also be used to coach employees, galvanize them for a specific project, or help draw out creative thinking. Storytelling is an exceptional tool to lead people and take them on a journey." With every story your nonprofit tells, the goal should be to motivate change on behalf of your supporters. The first challenge in motivating change is standing out in an overcrowded media marketplace. In almost every aspect of your day, you are solicited with a variety of messaging and advertising. Browsing the internet, watching TV, listening to the radio, and even checking your email will lead you to a host of organizations looking to motivate you towards some action. People don't remember facts, but they'll remember a story that sticks with them. Effective storytelling techniques are recognized as a solution to moving beyond creating awareness to motivating action. Neuroscientist marketer Roger Dooley reports that when one person tells a story and another actively listens, their brains actually begin to synchronize, leading to a more actively engaged audience. Evolutionary psychologists believe that stories are effective tools because human brains evolved when we just had two ways to learn about dangers and rewards in their environment: personal experience and communication from other trusted humans. Dooley stated that, quote, "Turning a testimonial into a personal anecdote will greatly increase its impact. Adding a name, a face, and story will play to the way our brains evolved and will be both more convincing and more memorable." Save the Children is a prime example of a nonprofit putting a face to a mission and using the power of storytelling to engage potential donors. Save the Children tells the individual stories of children in need and explains that a sponsorship helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to their life, such as nutrition, early childhood and adolescent development, education, and school health. In the case shown here, you can see the detail the organization put into telling Marissa's story and how her life was changed from a donation. The potential donor sees that without you, Marissa will not get clean water or the education she needs to help her family. So what are the characteristics of a compelling story? First, compelling stories are concise, but with vivid imagery. You want to paint the picture for your audience, but make sure you are delivering digestible content. They are relatable to your audience. Know who you are speaking to, and speak in their language. Know what excites your audience, and what your audience will identify with. Present challenges or obstacles in a structural manner. Ensure the story is cohesive with the central challenge the main character must overcome. If there is no conflict, there is no need for action from the donor. Engage emotions. Tell a story that your audience will care to hear. Explain from the perspective of the main character. However, be careful to not give too much detail because you will lose your listener. Find a unique and compelling angle and provide just enough detail that he or she will be interested in knowing more about the organization. Convey an underlying meaning. This is usually in the form of a call to action or a resolution the audience can affect. For instance, Save the Children asks for donations to provide children with items such as food, medicine, or books. Whatever the mission of the nonprofit, the listener must play some role in fighting the cause. So now we're back to how your nonprofit can develop or refine its story. The first thing to do is know the story of the nonprofit. Gather all the facts, the mission, and the purpose for telling the story. This may take some research on your end, such as taking a deeper look at what makes an organization vital to a cause. Talk to volunteers and donors to see why they are dedicated to the cause. More importantly, talk to those affected by your nonprofit. See what role the organization's work has had on their life. Listen to their story. From that, develop a compelling story tying in all the characteristics we discussed earlier. Next, determine the technical support you will need. Your story can take the form of a video, written text that will be displayed on your website or pamphlets, or oral stories your board members will use when speaking to potential donors. Finally, determine the publishing platform for your stories. Again, these stories should live on your website and any promotional material, but stories can be shortened for social sharing. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals does a great job of sharing their stories on social media properties. Working towards rescuing animals from abuse and providing a voice for vulnerable animals, the organization uses shortened stories on social media to call donors to action. And as you can see from the screen grab, social sharing continues the conversation with your supporters. Now that we've gone over the impact, characteristics, and process for effective storytelling for nonprofits, I encourage you to revisit the messaging of your nonprofit and see how storytelling can bring the cause to light. We all have stories to tell. A compelling and personal story may be just what your nonprofit needs to engage supporters and persuade them to act for your cause. Good luck!